Okay, welcome guys. So today we'll be looking at finding the equation of perpendicular line. So the basic thing that I want us to look at is let's assume if this were the gradients of a specific line. So if this was the gradient, so the gradient of a line that is perpendicular to this gradient will be, is simple. What we do is we just put this over 1 and then we flip the number and we change the sign. So if we flip it, it will be 2 over 1. Now the sign was positive, so therefore we put negative, which means the gradient will be equal to negative 2, because negative 2 divided by 1 is just negative 2. If the gradient was 1 over 4, so it means the gradient of a line that is perpendicular to this one, we flip again, it's just the same trick. We flip it and then we change the sign, which means this will be 4 over 1. The sign, this is positive, then the sign changes to negative. So therefore, negative 4 divided by 1, the gradient will be equals to negative 4. So this is the gradient of a line that will be perpendicular to this one. So let's do this one. We flip it and then we change the sign. So which means the gradient will be equals to positive 5 over 2. The sign was negative, we change to positive. Same apply to this one. We put it over 1 and then we flip it, then it will be 1 over 3. Remember, the 1 goes on top, the 3 goes down. We change the sign from negative to positive. So that is how you find the gradient of a line that is perpendicular to a given line. Okay, now that we have understood that, now let's look at questions. Okay, so let's say you are now given a question such as line M, y equals to negative 1 over 2x minus 3. Find the line perpendicular to M through point 3 and 4. Now, it's very simple. What you need to do is, step number 1, find the gradient of line M. So in this case, this is the gradient, which is negative 1 over 2. Now, what will be the gradient of a line that will be perpendicular to this one? Remember, we flip the sign and then the fraction as well. So which means we are going to have a gradient of 2. Okay, so if we flip it, remember the negative changes to positive, then it will be 2 over 1, which is just equals to 2. So now we have the gradient of the perpendicular line, then we need to find the y-intercept. That is how we write the equation. Get the gradient and the y-intercept. Now how do we get the y-intercept? We use this coordinate where the line will pass through. And remember, we start with y equals to mx plus c. And then we remember that we substitute the given information. So remember, this is x, this is y. So y is 4 equals to m is the gradient that we got, that is 2, 3, we put it at the place of x, so 3 plus c. So 4 equals to 2 times 3, it gives us 6 plus c. And then this one crosses the equal sign, then we have 4 minus 6 equals to c. So 4 minus 6, it gives us negative 2 equals to c. So now we know the y-intercept will be negative 2. So then we can write the equation of the line y equals to mx plus c. So we only replace m and c. So y remains, m is 2, x, c is negative 2. So this is the line which is perpendicular to the given line. Okay, next question. The equation is 5y equals to 2x minus 4. So find the perpendicular line to this line which will pass through the given point. Remember, we need to write it in the format of y equals to mx plus c. This is how we want it to look like. So it's simple. What we do is we divide by 5 to remove the 5. Divide by 5, divide by 5. Then we are going to have y equals to 2 over 5x minus 4 over 5. Now, the next step that we need to do is we need to find the gradient of this line. So we can see the gradient of that line is 2 over 5, which means the gradient of a line that will be perpendicular to this one, we flip this one, we change the sign. So therefore, it means the gradient will be equals to 5 over 2 negative, because this one is positive. So the next step is we need to find the y-intercept. So how do we find the y-intercept? We start with the y equals to mx plus c. We replace these values so that we find the y-intercept. So this is x, this is y. So y is 4 equals to, the gradient is negative 5 over 2, and then x is 3 plus c. Now if we have to multiply this, this will give us negative 15 over 2 plus c. So if this value crosses the equal sign, then we are going to have 4 plus 15 over 2, which is equals to c. So if we add this, then it will give us a gradient, a y-intercept of 11 half. So 11 1 over 2. So once we get the gradient and the y-intercept, then we can write the equation, which is y equals to mx plus c. So we only replace m and c. So y will be equals to, m is negative 5 over 2 x, and then the y-intercept is positive 11 half. So this is the equation of the line that will be perpendicular to the given line. Okay, so looking at this example, now this question did not give us the equation. They only gave us the two coordinates, and then we need to find a line that is perpendicular to this line which is passing through the two coordinates. It's very simple. As usual, we need to find the gradient and then the y-intercept, simple as such. So then what we need to do in this case, we need to remember the formula. We can put this one to be 1, this one to be 2. Then we say gradient equals to, this is yx, yx. So y2, we take y2 minus y1 divided by x2 minus x1. So y2 is 7 minus 5 over x2 is 5 minus x1 is 1. This gives us 7 minus 5. This gives us 2 over 5 minus 1. This gives us 4, which means the gradient of that line will be half. Now remember, if the gradient of that line is half, then the gradient of a line that will be perpendicular to that line, we flip this one and we change the sign, then this will be negative 2. Because if you flip it, it will be negative 2 over 1. Then negative 2 divided by 1 is just negative 2. So what is left now is for us to find the y-intercept. And it's very simple. Remember, y-intercept, you write y equals to mx plus c. We only replace y, m, and x so that we find c. So using the point where the perpendicular line will pass through. So this is x, this is y. So y is 7 equals to, m is negative 2 that we got, x is negative 1 plus c. So if we multiply this, this will give us positive 2 plus c. This one crossing the equal sign, then we have 7 minus 2 equals to c. 7 minus 2, this will give us 5, which is equals to c. So now we know 5 is the y-intercept. So once we get these two information, then we can write the equation of the line. So y equal to mx plus c, we only replace m and c. So y equals to, m is negative 2, x, c is positive 5. So this is the line that will be perpendicular to the two given points. So in this example, we can see that the equation wants us to find the equation of line S. Now, if we look at line S, it's passing at the coordinate of negative 4, 2. And we can clearly see this 90-degree angle. It shows that it's perpendicular to line Q. Now, how do we find the equation of that line? So we need to get the gradient of line Q. We flip it, and then we calculate the equation of line S. So first we need to get the coordinates. The coordinate here this point is 0, 4, and then the coordinate at this point is -8, 0. Okay, so we put this one to be 2. This is x, y, x, y. Okay, so the gradient of line Q will be equals to y2, that is 4, minus 0 divided by x2, which is 0 minus -8. So this will give us 4 over 8, which gives us half. So the gradient of line Q, this is for line Q, which means the gradient of a line that is perpendicular to it, which is S, it will be, we flip this one and we change the sign, which means the gradient of line S will be equals to -2. If we flip it and change the sign, the gradient will be that. So the next point is we need to find the y-intercept, which is C. As usual, y-intercept, y equals to mx plus c. We substitute the given information. Now, we know that line S passes through this coordinate, which means this is the coordinate that we are going to use to find the value of C. So this is x, this is y. So y is 2 equals to, the gradient is -2, and then x is -4 plus c. Multiplying this one, this gives us +8. Okay, so when this one crosses the equal sign, then we have 2 minus 8, which gives us the value of C. So 2 minus 8, this gives us -6 equals to C. Now we know C is -6. Once we have these two pieces of information, then we can write the equation of the line. So we only replace M and C. So Y will be equals to M is -2x, C is -6. So this is the equation of line S. Okay, so one last example on how examiners can ask you to find the equation of a line which is perpendicular to a given line is they can give you the coordinate and then they ask you to find the equation of the perpendicular bisector. Now, when you see the word bisector, you need to do the following. You find the gradient and then you find the midpoint. So you are going to use the midpoint to find the value of C. You are going to use the gradient of the two given coordinates in order to find the gradient of a perpendicular line. So let's start. We put this one to be 1, this one to be 2. This is x, y, x, y. So gradient equals to y2 minus y1, that is -1 minus -5 divided by x2 minus x1, 10 minus 2. So if we are to subtract that, this will give us, this is positive, it will give us +4 over 8, which is equals to half. Now, we need to know if the gradient of this line is this one, then the gradient of the line that will be perpendicular to that one, we flip it, then that gradient will be equals to -2. Remember, we flip it and then we change the sign. Okay, we are done with that stage. Now the next step is we need to find the midpoint of that line. Bisector, it means a line that is cutting at the middle. Okay, so calculating the midpoint is very simple. If we remember, you take x1 plus x2, we have it, y1 plus y2, we have it. So let's just proceed and do the math. So then we take 10 plus 2 over 2. This gives us -1 plus -5. We have it as well. So if we calculate it, this will give us 12 over 2, and then this will give us -6 over 2. So which means the midpoint will be equals to 6 and -3. So we are going to use this one to find the y y-intercept. Well, finding the y-intercept, in this case, we are now going to start by saying, okay, y equals to mx plus c. So we replace y, m, and x. So using the midpoint. So therefore, in this case, this is x, this is y. So y in this case is -3 equals to m, we got it, that is -2. X in this case is 6, then plus c. So -3 equals to, when we multiply this gives us -12 plus c. So if this -12 crosses the equal sign, then we are going to have -3 plus 12, which gives us the value of c. So therefore, when we substitute, when we add them, then we are going to get the value, which is adding this one, this will give us +9, which is equals to c. So now that we have these two pieces of information, the gradient and the y-intercept, we can write the equation in the format y equal to mx plus c. We replace only m and c. So the equation will be equals to y equals to m is -2x, and then c is +9. So this is the equation of the perpendicular bisector of that line.